What's up, guys? So today we're going to be talking about the top 10 synergy teams in Marvel Strike Force. We recently completely reworked our approach to the synergy team tier list, and so the new and improved objective data-based team ranking list is officially complete. Let's get into it. Alright, what's up, guys? So today we are talking about the top 10 synergy teams in Marvel Strike Force. Now, what makes this an interesting list is that this isn't just my opinions or the opinions of myself and the Brain Trust. This is actually an objective, data-based answer to what the top 10 teams in the game are. Now, we had put out previous versions of this graphic, but we used some interesting grading metrics, and what we found is that while based on the metrics we were evaluating them, we were getting certain answers, it didn't quite reflect the landscape of what you see in the game. For example, we were weighting all game modes equally and rating a synergy team based on how they do in Dark Dimension versus, say, how they do in Raid. It's just apples to oranges. You just play so much less Dark Dimension comparatively. Certain game modes are definitely worth more than others, so we completely changed around the weighting system. We completely changed up our approach to war. Our original approach to war involved grading the teams based on how many other teams could they counter at even power. And now we are taking into account a variety of factors, including not only how many teams can they counter and are they countered by, but also how much can they punch up on their counters. If they're a defense team, how good is their sustain if they successfully defend once. So it's just so much more data, and it took us a ton of time and a ton of testing, but I'm pleased to present to you guys the definitive top 10 synergy teams in Marvel Strike Force. Coming in at number 10, Xfactor. Now, the Xfactor is a bit of an interesting one because they only have 4 members. So for the purposes of our testing, we tried to pair them with a 5th member that was roughly on their level in terms of power. We didn't want to skew the results by giving them, for example, Silver Surfer or Doctor Doom as their 5th, because that would make the team, of course, way too powerful and not representative of what they can currently do. And we are aware of what the holes are in their game, and so we'll have to see with their 5th member which of those disadvantages that they currently face that character will shore up. For example, they don't really have a cleanse. Also, they don't have a lot of defense in place until they actually start spinning up. So yeah, we kind of assumed that they would get like a Red Guardian style 5th for the purposes of our testing, and they placed pretty highly. Their best category, they came in 5th for war offense. And again, if you're going to use a 5th like Baron Zemo or Silver Surfer, you may find that they're one of the top war offense teams in the entire game. But even if you give them a 5th like Red Guardian, which just makes them a fairly well-rounded team and plays to their strengths, kind of protects them early, they still clock in at the 5th spot for war offense, and therefore the number 10 spot overall. Coming in at number 9, Non-Minion Shield. This one is another slightly non-standard team for the purposes of evaluation, in that there are a multitude of Non-Minion Shield members, the more notable members including Yo-Yo, Nick Fury, and Agent Coulson. It also includes the likes of Black Widow, Hawkeye, Captain America, Quake, and even Shield Medic, just because for whatever reason Scopely has a habit of including a single minion on their non-minion teams, like Cyborg on the non-minion Kree or Hydra Grenadier on the non-minion Hydra. Don't ask me, I don't know why they do that. But anyway, we also went ahead and included Kestrel on this team because while she does not have the shield tag, much like Emma doesn't actually have the Marauder tag, Kestrel has a shield logo on her shoulder, direct synergy with Nick Fury. Nick Fury has direct synergy with her, and a lot of people have been asking, what is Kestrel's team? And so obviously for war, you're going to use hybrids. For arena, you're going to use hybrids, but if we had to assign her to a synergy team, Non-Minion Shield made the most sense. And the team does have quite a bit of synergy, especially depending on which 5 characters you use. So we went ahead and put them on here. And interestingly, across all game modes, they actually scored the highest in arena, coming in at 4th in terms of their ability to punch across, which is kind of our metric for arena specifically. And they can take on quite a few of the top teams between Yo-Yo and Kestrel, who's just unbelievably powerful, and then Fury with his recent overhaul. Now his summons are so much better. But yeah, overall, they're a very well-rounded team, and they are rather formidable. So they take the number 9 spot. Coming in at number 8, Symbiotes. This team definitely one of the crowd favorites, and we are aware of that. The Symbiotes are a truly remarkable team. They really shine in campaign and Dark Dimension, but surprisingly, they actually rank the highest in campaign. And there's a lot of reasons why. There's a good amount of RNG involved in this team, but they really have a good ability to snowball. They have a revive, so you can easily get 3-star. They have a lot of opportunity to control their opponents in a variety of different ways, and they're just overall very, very reliable. So yeah, especially in any sustained-based game mode where you're fighting multiple waves of enemies, the Symbiotes really shine. They're a ton of fun to play, and I don't think there's any denying they are a top 10 team in the game right now. Coming in at number 7, Uncanny X-Men. The Uncanny X-Men are still just an absolute powerhouse team, very strong in a lot of game modes. Their weaknesses used to be game modes like Campaign, where you would basically be yielding 3 stars to kill Phoenix, but with the Beast passive that now lets you get 3 stars on a campaign stage, even if Phoenix dies and you summon Dark Phoenix, they are just a very, very well-rounded team, and they really shine, especially in game modes like Arena and Blitz, where when they're fighting even power or close in power teams, they are very, very successful. In terms of other synergy teams, there's only a couple other teams that they truly fear. Now, not a lot of people in the super endgame get to experience peak Uncanny X-Men, because a lot of people run Beast on their Astonishing X-Men, and for good reason. That is also what we recommend. But as Beast is technically also an Uncanny X-Men, the best version of the Uncanny X-Men, still one of the top full synergy arena teams in the game. We are aware of hybrids, but for the purposes of this list, we're just looking at synergy teams. Yeah, Uncanny X-Men still just a powerhouse in many, many game modes, still one of the top Dark Dimension teams, which again, we don't recommend people run full synergy teams in Dark Dimension, but if you were to do so, Phoenix, undeniably one of the top Dark Dimension characters for Dark Dimension 2, Dark Dimension 3. So yeah, this team still a top 10 team, and that is why they're coming in the number 7 spot. Coming in at number 6, Shadowland. Shadowland, relatively new team compared to some of the other teams on this list, but undeniably super fun to play. In particular, they are war juggernauts. They are currently the number 1 war offense team, and even if you run them on war defense, they are a fairly flexible team. They do lose out on 20% damage that they gain explicitly in war offense, but all of their other war perks they do still get on defense, so they actually rank 4th even for war defense. They are just insanely formidable in Alliance War. They're a lot of fun to play. They do a tremendous amount of damage, so many control effects, and yeah, especially in terms of raw stats, some of the characters on that team, like Moon Knight in particular, just have insane base stats. So yeah, there's no denying they are the number 6 team overall. Coming in at number 5, the Inhumans. Despite releasing a little bit ago at this point, the Inhumans have held up really, really well. In particular, they have an amazing mix of offense and defense. In terms of built-in safety, they have a massive heal, 40% of Crystal's max health whenever they drop below 50%. She also cleanses all their negative effects. They also get defense up when they drop below 50% thanks to Yo-Yo. And of course, Yo-Yo is just constantly applying offense down to all enemies, plus constantly handing out evades. So they just have so much built-in safety. Meanwhile, all of their actual active abilities are focused on damage. They have so many AoEs. Yo-Yo has an AoE, Black Bolt has an AoE, Quake has an AoE, Crystal has 2 AoEs, and then they have so many good control effects between the slows and the disrupt that you get from Karnak, and just so many other things, the dispel from Black Bolt, and all the extra damage from the Black Bolt passive. They're just really, really well-rounded, and in particular, they're very well suited for campaign. They actually ranked 3rd for campaign, and that is why they ranked 5th overall. Coming in at number 4, the Marauders. Now, what's interesting about the Marauders on this list is that they are an incredibly well-rounded and an incredibly adaptable team. There isn't any one game mode in particular that they rank incredibly highly on. They are a very good war defense, coming in 6th for war defense, but that isn't even the game mode where they rank the highest. What makes them interesting, as I said, is how adaptable they are. You can clone a 6th member kind of fill in whatever your needs are in any game mode. If you need more burst damage, or if you need more sustain, more utility, they can kind of pick and choose what they want to add to their team in any given scenario. What has them ranked so highly is actually the fact that there is no game mode in particular where they are worse than 10th, and that's war offense. Beyond that, there's no game mode where they're worse than 6th. So they're just, again, an incredibly well-rounded and a very, very adaptable team. That is why they're coming in at the number 4 spot. Coming in at number 3, Sinister Six. And just like we mentioned with the Marauders, the Sinister Six are also an incredibly adaptable team. Firstly, because like the Marauders, they get 6 members, but also because they have a pretty healthy pool of characters to choose from. Now, generally speaking, you tend to only really substitute one of the spots on that team, but they do have a variety of options depending on who you face, and overall, they are just a very well-rounded team. They do surprisingly well even in game modes like Campaign and Raid, where you're running the full Sinister Six, between all of the healing that can come from the deflects and all of the deflects in the first place that are actually just providing a damage reduction, all of the regen from the Doc Ock special, having summons on the field that can absorb additional attacks, and of course, the offense downs from Electro. They have a lot of built-in tools and sustain, and then of course, they are certainly not short on damage. They have some good unavoidable abilities, some buff flip. They're just really, really solid all around. And much like the Marauders, there isn't any game mode in particular that they really, really shine in, but I think they're a bit underestimated because I don't see that many Sinister Six heavily invested in. And for example, most people aren't aware that Sinister Six can just outright smash a Black Order team in Alliance War. They are a Black Order caliber team in War and ever so slightly less than in a lot of other game modes, which is why they are placing at the number 3 spot. Coming in at number 2, the Astonishing X-Men. I don't think anyone will argue that the Astonishing X-Men are not one of the most valuable teams in the game right now. The reason we have them in the number 2 spot, among other reasons, is that they are hands down the number 1 raid team in the game. Not just for specialized raids like Doom Raid, where there's a mutant section where they really shine, but even just in raids where you can use any characters with any tag, the full Astonishing X-Men are just the best raid team in the game right now. They absolutely crush, and across all game modes, they actually don't rank worse than 5th place in all but one game mode. They're just really, really well-rounded, very, very strong, and that is why we have them at the number 2 spot on this list. And finally, coming in at number 1, the Black Order. Now, we are aware that the value of the Black Order has dropped a little bit as of late. There are a few more war teams that can step to the Black Order, and in addition, they are being phased out of Arena in favor of hybrid teams. However, if we are objectively ranking just the synergy teams in the game, when it comes to Arena, Black Order is still the top Arena team if we're only looking at synergy teams. Not to mention that they are still the number 2 war offense and war defense team, and even in a game mode like Raid, they still manage to take 3rd. They are still an incredibly powerful, dominant force, and while they are slipping a bit, their replacements tend to be hybrids. When it comes to synergy teams, they are still the champs. For that reason, we have Black Order as the number 1 synergy team in the game right now. All right, and lastly, I did want to mention a couple things. First off, you may notice there's a couple characters that we have excluded from this list. This is a synergy team tier list where we are ranking just the synergy teams. I get asked all the time, is X team better than Y team? And so the purpose of this graphic is to answer that. Now, we don't have all of the game modes listed here, but we did list the big ones, in particular Raid, War Offense, and War Defense, which is the main ones that we get asked about. That is why we have all of the synergy teams here, but their overall ranking does actually include all of the game modes, including Campaign, including Blitz, including Arena, including Dark Dimension. That said, I also want to mention that we excluded a couple characters from this list. You may notice Silver Surfer is not on here, and that's because he doesn't have direct synergy with any of these teams, and pretty much any of the top 10 teams, if you were to slot Silver Surfer onto them, it would basically rocket them up to the number 1 spot. So we felt that that would be a bit misrepresentative to include him. And finally, Dr. Doom is also excluded. While he does have a little bit of direct synergy with the Fantastic Four, again, we felt that it would be a bit misrepresentative to show Fantastic Four as basically the number 1 team in the game, because that would only be with Dr. Doom, and if you have Dr. Doom, you're going to be running a lot of hybrids, not actually Dr. Doom with the Fantastic Four, although he is sort of a part of that synergy team. So we left those characters off, and that is the list that you see before you. If you have any feedback on that, of course, please leave it in the video description below. And again, you can grab this infographic either from the Discord server or from a link in the description. Given that we've excluded a couple characters, plenty of people are wondering what about all the hybrid teams. So there is another graphic in the works that we try to do every patch as well, called the top 5 teams. And that is going to have the top 5 arena offense, the top 5 arena defense, and the top 5 raid teams. And that will be largely comprised of hybrid teams, I imagine. So if you're curious about hybrid teams, stick around for that infographic, which should be coming out soon. Finally, I did want to give a huge thanks to all the people that helped with this graphic. If you were part of the testing team that helped us do match after match that was tested, thank you so much to all of you guys. Huge shout out to Livepool, Dance and Dirk, and a little bit Misaki as well for giving up a lot of their time to basically argue over every facet of how we should actually make this graphic. A huge shout out to Krazy for making the module that made the production of this graphic much quicker. And yeah, huge thanks to you guys for watching the channel and supporting the content, and that is why we were able to bring you guys a list like this. But I've gone on long enough. Thank you guys so much for checking out this video. Please be sure to like, subscribe, and do a cartwheel, and I will see you guys real soon. Until next time, peace!